Hey, I'm Keith, and this is my lovely wife, Amy. We're sorry we can't be there tonight, but want to share a little bit about our experiences in the youth ministry there at First Pres.
I'm going to start us off, but when I think of the WareHouse and the youth ministry at First Pres that took place there, I think of all the fun that we had in the Ventures room. First off, some of the years that I was leading Ventures, I think of every night when everybody would walk in and we would be playing Foursquare and all the Foursquare tournaments and how exciting that was. I think of junior highs and senior highs playing dart wars all over the WareHouse, and you never knew when one of those flying darts would come flying at you and hit you at the most inopportune times, including when I was speaking a couple of times. I think about the huge crunch ball tournaments we would have for Radical Renewals and Disciple Nows, which crunch ball was just a game that we randomly, Keith, I think, maybe Keith and Aaron? Somebody randomly made up.
Tim and Kenny, I think it was.
Tim and Kenny, whoever, randomly made up, which became a staple for many years at different events. And we would have huge tournaments, and that was a fun game. And also, one of my favorite memories was there was a black light venture night where we literally hung black lights all over the WareHouse and turned out the lights, and all the ventures had their white clothes on, and we played Foursquare and we played different games and all that. And I still to this day can remember some kid running up to me going, Miss Amy, can we? We had this spray where we sprayed it in their hair and on their clothes to make them glow. And they were like, can we spray it on the walls? And I'm like, sure. It's not going to hurt anything. So they sprayed it all over the walls, wrote their names all over the walls at the venture room, wrote funny sayings, drew pictures, and then the lights came back on after everybody left, and Keith and I are trying to clean up, and it didn't come out
like grease
at all. It was like grease all over the walls. So for the next 2 months, I would be leading ventures and talking about God, and it would say, like, Katie was here on the back wall over my head. And so, until we finally convinced Dan McIntosh to paint it over for us. But, and then also we just had lots of fun with gingerbread house night, where we made gingerbread houses, and there was the smell of candy for weeks after that. But there were lots and lots and lots of fun memories, and but I think all those fun memories and funny stories and fun games led to a lot of spiritual growth and time where we were able to talk about God and able to see people grow in their faith. And I think those were my favorite times, those Saturday nights where we would see people just wrestling with their faith in God and really trying to figure out who God was, and those times when we would look around during a retreat or on a junior high Friday night or adventure Sunday night and see youth in small groups with their leaders talking about God and their faith and what that meant to them. So when I think about the WareHouse and our many years of the youth ministry there, those are some of the awesome times that I think about.
Yeah. The WareHouse is neat because before it actually became the WareHouse, it was all sorts of other establishments, and it was a pretty nasty place before we took it over. And we would go in there during the design process and pray in there, and the advisors would come in there before we even moved the students in, and we prayed in there and wrote prayers and had prayers for how God would use it, having no idea what would happen. It was a building that was kind of a pain because it was an old warehouse, and it would have moments where the air conditioning didn't work, or moments when it would also leak, and we'd be fixing problems right before a program was started, all the way down to, I remember lock-ins, laying there in the middle of the night and seeing the ceiling tiles start to move, and then watching them go across the room because it was these massive rats that were literally scampering across the back and forth room, and you could see the tiles move. So it's an interesting building, and yet it was also building incredible, dumb, funny things happen. There's lip syncs that took place in there that we're not allowed to talk about. They were inappropriate, should never have happened, but yet some of the funniest things that I've ever experienced. We had nights where students played. We worked on canvases and we put them up. We put them at the auction, and it turned into an art place, and it was incredible to see kind of artwork take place. I remember Tim Chamberlain constantly did these talks, and he would always refer to the poor train guy who drove the train by, probably right in the middle of his talk every night. And he would refer to that guy as the devil, because it was always like right in the middle of a moment, and here comes the train, and it would shake the whole warehouse. And it was a place where we did some dumb games. We made a chicken coop, and we had people blindfolded, and they had to catch chickens one night. We froze turkeys and did turkey bowling. We did air mattress races to. What else did we do? We did a pillow fight with stone peanuts, and they all busted, and it literally took months to clean up. They would just use little fur balls everywhere. But those are just moments and stories. The two things that I pulled together for what God did there was, I will never forget those moments when either we would leave, or especially when we would come back from a mission trip. And it was that moment where we would pull in and see this place kind of greet us again. Parents and cars and the buses lined up in front of it. All the way to the point where even when, before the trip when we were leaving, we had all this luggage spread out, filling these rooms. So there was a spring break trip to a Mexico trip to just a retreat week in the Sharp Top. And it was just a place that was constant. It was a presence for our families gathered to see us off, to trust us, to see what God was going to do in our lives. And it kind of held us steady. And it was a sending point. And now to think about it, and the conversations I have from college students to those who are married now with children, and see where God maybe started their faith journey there in that building, and now they're in ministry and they're on their own way. Whether they've gone out and become nurses, or whether they've gone out and become teachers, or they're still in school, or they're moms now, they're dads, they're couples, they're missionaries, they're in different countries around the world, and yet at some point they were at the warehouse, and God worked on them there. And so that's just a point where we can celebrate what God has done and continues to do. So I hope you'll have an incredible night of worship.
We wish we could be there.
Yeah. Wish you do. Keep praying for us, and we'll be praying for you. Have a great night.